It was a quiet night in the small town of Windale. The streets were empty and the air was still. Only a few streetlights were on, flickering in the dark. Jack Miller, a 34-year-old night guard, sat in his tiny security booth. He worked at the town's old observatory, which hadn't been used in years. Most nights were boring, just Jack, a cup of black coffee, and the sound of crickets. But tonight was different. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the sky lit up like fire. A burning streak flashed across the stars, heading straight for the nearby forest. Jack stood up quickly, his coffee spilling on the desk. The ground shook for a few seconds, followed by a deep rumble in the distance. It wasn't thunder. It was something else. Jack grabbed his flashlight and ran outside. He looked toward the forest. A thin column of smoke was rising into the sky. Whatever it was, it had crashed just a mile away. Most people would call the police, maybe even the news. But Jack didn't. Something inside him told him to go. Alone, he grabbed his old motorbike and drove fast toward the smoke. The forest was dark and cold. Trees stood like silent watchers. Birds had stopped singing. The wind had stopped blowing. It was too quiet. As Jack reached the crash site, his bike's headlight lit up something strange. A crater. It was deep, still steaming, and glowing slightly blue. Pieces of metal lay scattered around it. But in the center stood something. Someone, a girl. She looked about 19, wearing a silver suit that shimmered in the moonlight. Her hair was white, like snow, and her skin gave off a faint glow. Jack stopped the bike and stepped closer. You okay?" he asked, his voice shaking. The girl turned her head slowly. Her eyes were bright purple. "I need your help," she said calmly. "Earth is in danger." Jack blinked. He wasn't sure if he was dreaming. Who are you?" "My name is Alira," she said. "I came from a planet called Siren. I traveled 369 light years to get here." Jack didn't know what to say. She didn't look like an alien, she looked human. But something about her was different. Her voice, her eyes, the way she moved it, wasn't normal. Alira looked around nervously. "They will come for me soon. I don't have much time." Jack was confused, but he trusted his gut. "Come with me. I know a place you can hide." Back at the observatory, Jack cleared out the storage room. He gave Alira a blanket, some water, and an old radio. She sat down, tired and quiet. After a moment, she looked at Jack. "You're the first person I've spoken to," she said. "No one else would believe me." Jack laughed softly. "I'm not sure I believe you either." Alira smiled. "You will." She touched the side of the radio. The static cleared. A soft hum filled the room, followed by strange sounds like whispers in another language. Then, images flashed on the radio screen. They showed Earth, covered in dark clouds. Cities were burning. Strange creatures walked the streets. "What is this?" Jack asked. "A possible future," she said. "They're already here, hiding. Planning. Earth is their next home." Jack sat down. His hands were cold. "Who are they?" "They're called the Zilari. Shapeshifters, silent, deadly. No one knows they exist. Until it's too late." Jack looked into her eyes. They were filled with fear, real fear. Not the kind you see in movies. The kind that makes you feel cold inside. "Why me?" he asked. "Why tell me?" "Because," Alira said softly, "you're not like the others. You can see them, feel them. You're different." Jack shook his head. "I'm just a night guard." "Not anymore," Alira whispered. Suddenly, the radio hissed loudly. Alira jumped up. Her skin started glowing brighter red this time. "They found me," she said. "They're close." Jack stood up, heart pounding. "What do we do?" Alira looked at him, her face serious. "We fight. But first, you must see the truth." She reached into her suit and pulled out a small device. It looked like a glass cube with lights inside. She pressed a button, and the room was filled with floating images, maps, creatures, names, warnings. Everything was real. Jack knew one thing: life would never be the same again. The next morning, the town of Windale looked normal. Kids waited for the school bus, shops opened, dogs barked, birds sang. Everything seemed fine, but Jack Miller knew it. WSN single quotes T. Inside the old observatory, Elira sat on a broken chair, staring at the rising sun through a dusty window. Her silver suit was now marked with burns and tears. Her purple eyes were tired. She hadn't slept. She COULDN single quotes T. Jack brought her a slice of toast and a black coffee. She stared at the food like she didn't recognize it. "We call this breakfast," Jack joked, trying to break the silence. Elira touched the toast gently. "We had no food like this on Siren, our world. Burned a long time ago." Jack sat beside her. "You said Earth is next. Why?" Elira pointed to the glowing cube she had shown him last night. It hovered between them, spinning slowly. "They move from planet to planet," she said. "The Zalari. They don't invade with ships or guns. They infect minds. They take shapes. They become us." Jack rubbed his face. "And no one notices?" "No," she said. "They look human. They act human. But they're not. Their goal is simple: replace humans, one by one, until Earth is theirs." Jack felt cold. He wasn't sure if he believed her fully, but something deep in his gut told him this was real. He grabbed his phone. "We need help. Someone with power. The government, maybe the army." Elira looked up sharply. "No, they are already inside. They control your leaders, your media, your systems." "I have to try," Jack said. "Maybe someone will listen." 2 hours later, Jack stood in the town police station, explaining everything. "There's a girl, not human. She says aliens are planning something. She has proof. She's in my observatory right now." The officer, a man named Daniels, laughed mid-sentence. "Jack, are you drunk? Or reading too much sci-fi?" "I'm serious, just come and see her." Daniels held up a hand. "Jack, you're a good man, but maybe take some rest, okay?" Jack clenched his fists. "You don't understand." Daniels smiled politely and handed Jack a card. "Talk to a doctor. Maybe someone who can help with stress." Outside, Jack stared at the card. "Dr. Harold Rayner, psychiatrist." Great. They thought he was crazy. Back at the observatory, Elira already knew. "They didn't believe you," she said. Jack shook his head. "Not even for a second." Elira stood and walked toward a dusty corner. She placed the cube on the ground. It lit up again, showing images of strange tall creatures with blank faces. Then, the images shifted to photos of real people. News anchors, CEOs, even a few world leaders. "All of them are Zalari now," she said. "Their original bodies are gone." Jack stared. "So they're using Earth like a costume party?" Elira didn't smile. "More like a farm." Just then, the radio crackled. "LIRA ... LIRA ... respond." Jack looked at her. She froze. "That's not my people," she whispered. "That's them." She grabbed the cube, shut it down, and turned to Jack. "We have to move." "Where?" "Somewhere quiet, where the signal won't reach us." Jack nodded. "There's an old storm shelter under this place. Nobody's used it in years." They climbed down into the cold, dark bunker beneath the observatory. Cobwebs hung like curtains. It smelled like dust and metal. Jack lit a lantern. "Why me, Elira?" he asked. "Why did you come to me?" She sat down on the ground, eyes glowing softly in the dark. "Because you're not like the others," she said. "You saw me when others didn't. You followed the light in the sky, and," she paused, "there's something inside you. I don't understand it yet, but it's rare." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Before she could answer, a loud knock echoed from above. Bang. Bang. Jack stood up fast. No one knows I'm here. Alira whispered. They do now. Bang. Bang. A voice called down the stairs. Mr. Miller. You left something at the station. Mind if we come in? It was Officer Daniels, but something was wrong. His voice sounded off, too slow, too calm, like it wasn't real. Jack looked at Alira. Her skin started to glow red again. They found us, she said. And this is just the beginning. The banging on the metal door stopped. Silence. Stood frozen, breathing quietly in the darkness of the underground shelter. Above him, footsteps moved slowly across the floor. Heavy, calm, too calm. Alira crouched beside him, her silver suit glowing faintly. Her eyes flicked toward the stairs. They're not here to talk, she whispered. They're scanning for life. For me, Jack whispered back. But how? They were outside 5 seconds ago. They move fast, Alira said, and they're learning. That's what makes them dangerous. Jack peeked through a small crack in the ceiling vent. He could see Officer Daniels standing still in the center of the observatory. His back was to the door, just standing, not moving, not speaking. Then Jack saw it. Daniels' head turned all the way around, completely. No human could do that. Jack pulled back quickly, his heart pounding. That's not Daniels. That thing is wearing his face. Alira nodded. They take the form of those you trust, so you won't run. Suddenly, a sharp sound filled the shelter. A buzzing hum like a swarm of insects in Jack's ears. Alira winced. They've activated a search frequency, she said. It finds non-human signals. It's made to find me. Jack looked around. The walls were metal, but not thick enough. Can it find you down here? Alira didn't answer. Her skin started to flicker, glitching between silver and red. I can't control it much longer. Jack made a decision. We run. Jack pushed open the old storm tunnel hidden behind crates. It led to the woods. He had used it as a kid to sneak out during storms. Now it was their only hope. They crawled through the tight tunnel, the buzzing still echoing in the distance. At one point, Alira stopped moving. What is it? Jack asked. She turned to him, eyes glowing red. There's someone in the tunnel ahead. Jack froze. Are you sure? I can feel them. They're waiting. Jack reached into his jacket and pulled out a rusted flare gun. Then we go loud. He fired the flare. For one brief second, the tunnel lit up in red light. A figure stood just ahead, tall, too tall. It had no face, just smooth skin stretched over a human frame. Then it melted back into the shadows. They didn't wait. Jack grabbed Alira's hand, and they ran the rest of the way out. They burst out of the tunnel and into the forest. It was still dark, just before dawn. The cold air hit their faces. Branches snapped under their feet. Jack's legs burned, but he kept going. Behind them, the trees moved, not from wind but from something chasing them. Alira looked back. They've sent a hunter. Jack didn't ask what that meant. He didn't want to know. They reached an old hunting cabin. Jack kicked open the door and pulled Alira inside. The place was filled with dust and spider webs. But it was shelter. He slammed the door shut and blocked it with a wooden beam. They waited in the dark. Breathing. Listening. Then footsteps. Walking, crawling, fast, scraping along the cabin walls outside. Jack whispered, if they're shapeshifters, can they become animals too? Alira shook her head. No, only intelligent life. But they can twist their human forms into terrible things. Outside, something screamed. It sounded like a woman. No, like many women, all screaming together. Alira gripped Jack's arm. That's a hunting call. They're marking us. Suddenly, the sound stopped. Dead silence. Then, a whisper, right outside the wooden wall. Jack. It was Jack's mother's voice. She died 10 years ago. Jack stepped back. That's not her. Elira nodded. They dig into your mind, pull memories. Use your pain. Jack picked up an old axe from the cabin floor. Well, they picked the wrong memory to play with. Just then, the back window shattered. A long, pale arm reached through the glass. Elira reacted fast. She threw the glowing cube at it. The creature screamed as the cube flashed bright blue light. The arm melted back into smoke. We have to leave, Elira said. Jack looked out the broken window. The creature was gone, but not dead. Where do we go now? Elira held the cube tight. To someone who knows the truth. Someone who helped build the original warning system. Who? Jack asked. Elira looked at him. Scientist named Rowan. But he disappeared years ago. They said he went crazy. Jack smiled grimly. Then he'll believe us. They stepped into the cold morning light, not knowing if they'd survive the night. Behind them, in the trees, something watched. The sun had barely risen, but the world already felt colder. Jack and Elira walked through the woods in silence. Trees stretched high above them like dark skeletons. Mist floated between the branches. Their footsteps were soft, but every sound felt loud, too loud. Elira glanced at Jack. Your blood, she said softly. It turned blue when you were hurt. Jack stopped. I thought that was a trick of the light. It wasn't, she replied. Human blood doesn't glow, yours did. Jack shook his head. I was born here. I'm human. Elira nodded. Mostly. They reached an old, abandoned train station, deep in the forest. Rusted tracks curved into the distance. Vines grew through the broken windows. This was his last known location, Elira said. Dr. Rowan, Earth scientist. He tried to warn. Your world 30 years ago. They entered the station carefully. Dust danced in the air. Broken computers, old wires, papers on the floor, all left behind in a rush. Elira found a hidden panel under a loose tile. Inside was a small data drive. She connected it to her cube. A hologram flickered to life. A man's face appeared, aged, tired, and scared. It was Dr. Rowan. If you're seeing this, his voice said, then the infection has begun. The Zalari are here, but so is something else. A new type of life. Half human, half Siren. Born not in space, but here. On Earth. Jack stepped back. Wait, what did he say? Elira froze the message. He's talking about you. Jack's hands began to shake. No, that's not possible. I grew up in Windale. I went to school. Played baseball. My dad worked at a factory. My mom was a nurse. Elira looked at him gently. What if that was all a story they gave you? Jack's heart pounded. She pulled a small scanner from her belt and moved it across Jack's chest. A soft chime echoed. She showed him the screen. In his chest, near his heart, was a small glowing node. Not human, not machine. Alien. It's a Siren core, Elira said. Part of our tech. Planted when you were very young. Maybe before you could even speak. Jack stumbled backward. So, I'm not real? You are, Elira said quickly. You're more real than any of them. You're both. That's what makes you strong. Suddenly, static buzzed through the air. Elira looked at her cube. They're tracking us again. The scan must have sent a signal. She grabbed Jack's hand. We have to leave. But Jack didn't move. He was staring at a photo on the dusty wall. It showed a young woman standing beside Dr. Rowan. Jack whispered, That's my mother. Elira looked closer. The woman in the photo wore a Siren suit. She's one of us, Elira said. She wasn't human. Jack's world shattered. All this time, she knew. She raised me like nothing was wrong. She was protecting you, Elira said. Maybe even hiding you from the Zalari. Jack's eyes narrowed. And why did she die when I was 10? Alira was silent for a moment. Then she said quietly, maybe she didn't. Just then, the building trembled. A deep hum vibrated the ground. Alira turned toward the broken window. Outside, 3 tall figures stood in the mist. Their bodies shimmered like glass. Their eyes glowed white. They sent elites, Alira whispered, hunters of hybrids. Jack felt a heat growing inside him, deep in his chest, near the alien core. Can I fight them? He asked. I don't know, Alira answered. No hybrid has ever survived this long. The glass shattered as one of the Zalari charged. Jack stepped in front of Alira and raised his arm. Without thinking, a wave of blue energy exploded from his palm, sending the creature flying through a metal beam. Jack gasped. What was that? Alira stared at him with awe. That was power. The other 2 Zalari screamed and vanished into the mist. Jack dropped to his knees. It felt like fire, but it didn't burn. Alira helped him up. Your human mind is unlocking your Siren energy. It's rare. It's beautiful, and it's dangerous. Jack stood tall, shaking but alive. If I'm a hybrid, he said, then I'm going to use everything I've got to stop them. Alira smiled, truly, for the first time. Then maybe Earth has a chance. Far above, hidden in a cloaked ship in Earth's orbit, a voice whispered through alien speakers. Subject 17 has activated. Begin Phase 2. 3 days passed. News channels were quiet. No mention of attacks, alien sightings, or missing people. But Jack knew the truth. The war had already started. And the world had no idea. Jack stood on a rooftop in a small city 2 hours from Windale. Below him, people were shopping, laughing, eating ice cream. Just living their lives. He watched a little girl holding her father's hand. The father turned his head for 1 second. Jack caught it a glitch. The man's face shimmered, for less than a second not human. Jack looked at Alira beside him. How many are there? Alira stared at the same crowd, scanning with her glowing cube. Thousands, maybe more. They've placed themselves in every city, every system. Slowly replacing. Jack clenched his fists. Then why aren't we fighting back? Alira replied. Because Earth is still asleep. And they want it that way. Later that night, they reached a secret underground station, an old Cold War satellite facility. It hadn't been used in decades. This place can send a signal strong enough to wake the entire planet, Alira said. It will reveal the Zalari's true forms to everyone. Jack nodded. Then let's do it. But Alira hesitated. There's a problem. The signal may cause panic. The sudden truth, it could break people's minds, and worse, it could kill every Zalari instantly. Jack frowned. Isn't that what we want? Alira looked away. Some of them have merged too deeply. They're part of families now. They don't even know they're not human anymore. Jack looked at her. You mean, some of them think they're human? Yes, she whispered. And some humans have chosen to join them. As Jack powered up the control panel, he noticed something strange. One of the old terminals was still warm. Someone had used it recently. A deep voice echoed from behind them. I was wondering when you'd find this place. Jack turned fast. A man stepped from the shadows. Tall, calm, wearing a black coat. His face was familiar. Jack narrowed his eyes. Logan? Logan had been Jack's childhood friend. A genius. A coder. He disappeared 5 years ago. I've been watching you, Logan said. Waiting for you to wake up. Jack's voice was cold. You're one of them now, Logan nodded. Not by force. I chose it. The Zalari offered peace, order, a future. Without war. Jack stepped forward. At what cost? Choice, Logan said. Free will is messy. Humans ruin everything they touch. Look around: pollution, greed, war. The Zalari clean all that. You just don't see the gift they offer. Jack looked him in the eyes. You sound like a machine, Logan smiled. Better than sounding human. Alira stepped in front of Jack. He's stalling. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Doors locked. The satellite controls powered down. Logan raised his hand. A small device blinked in his palm. You can't send the signal. Not today. Jack pulled out the flare gun again. Logan laughed. That won't work twice. I'm not aiming at you, Jack said. He fired at the power console. Boom. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the room. Alira activated a small shield, pulling Jack behind it. You just destroyed the only way to reach the world, Logan shouted through the smoke. No, Jack said, coughing. I destroyed the way you were controlling it. Alira pulled out a smaller device from her suit. A backup transmitter. It's short range, she said, but it's enough to alert the resistance. Jack blinked. There's a resistance? Always, she replied. Scattered humans and hidden Siren agents. They've been waiting for a sign. She activated the device. A small hum filled the room. Lights blinked green. Signal sent, she said. Logan stepped out of the smoke, half his face now melting silver. Skin over black bone. You think that will stop us? He hissed. You've just made yourself a target. Jack walked up to him. No, he said. You made me a weapon. Then he punched Logan straight through the chest with a glowing blue fist. The Zalari's body shattered like glass. Outside, in the night sky, lights began to blink. Old satellites. Hidden ships. Listening stations. The resistance was waking up. But high above Earth, in the darkness of orbit, a massive alien craft stirred. A voice, calm and cruel, echoed across the ship. Phase 2 failed. Proceed to Phase 3. Activate Earthfall. Jack stood alone. High above the Earth, in the ruins of a forgotten satellite station, he stared out at the stars. A cold wind blew through broken metal panels. His hands were bleeding. His heart was racing. His mind was somewhere else. Below him, the world was quiet, but he knew the silence wouldn't last. The countdown had begun. Inside the main chamber, Alira worked fast. Her fingers danced across a glowing panel, rerouting power into a strange device, a sleek silver core, humming softly. It looked alive. Jack walked in. Is that the weapon? He asked. Alira nodded without turning. We call it the Heart of Siren. It holds enough energy to destroy every Zalari on Earth. Jack stared at it. And what's the cost? She stopped. Her hands trembled. If we activate it, the energy will spread across every living mind. It will burn the Zalari out, but only if someone guides it. Jack frowned. What do you mean? Alira finally looked at him. Her eyes, once sharp and glowing, now shimmered with pain. It needs a human mind, a living heart. Someone who can carry both signals, Siren and human. Someone like you. Jack laughed bitterly. So I'm not just the weapon. I'm the fuse. Alira said nothing. He already knew the answer. The silence stretched. Jack walked to the window again. You know, when I was a kid, I used to look up at the stars and wonder what was out there. Now I know. And it's worse than I imagined. Alira walked up beside him. It's also better. He looked at her. She smiled weakly. You, Jack, you're proof that something good can be born from two worlds. Jack exhaled. Then maybe I was made for this moment. She touched his chest over the glowing core inside him. You were. A sudden alarm blared. The massive Zalari mothership entered Earth's upper atmosphere. The sky turned red. Every device in the control room began to flicker. Alira's face went pale. They've begun Earthfall. Once they land, it's over. Jack took a deep breath. Then, I guess this is it. Alira reached into her suit and handed Jack a small disc. What's this? He asked. A memory drive. It holds everything, your mother's files, Siren data, the truth about the Zalari. If you don't make it, someone else must know. Jack took it gently. You're not coming with me, are you? He asked. Lyra looked away. I can't. My signal is unstable. If I step into the core with you, it could collapse. Jack stepped forward. Then I guess this is goodbye. She nodded, but her eyes were wet. Your mother would be proud of you, she whispered. She gave up everything so you could live. Jack smiled sadly. Then I'll finish what she started. He stepped into the chamber. The heart of Siren opened, glowing blue like a beating star. Jack entered. The energy hit him instantly, rushing into his mind, his skin, his bones. Pain shot through him, but he stayed still. Elira's voice echoed in his earpiece. You must send the pulse with one thought, one emotion strong enough to reach them all. Jack's lips moved silently. Then the world exploded in light. Across the earth, people stopped moving. In every city, every town, every home, the hidden Zalari screamed. Their shapes shattered. Their false skins melted. The truth broke through, like sunlight after a storm. But with them, others fell. People who had lived as hybrids. People who didn't even know they were part of the enemy. People who had chosen comfort over freedom. Jack felt every death. And then he felt nothing. In the wreckage of the station, Elira crawled to the control panel. The heart of Siren was silent now. Jack was gone. Only his memory remained. She clutched the small disc in her hands and whispered, Goodbye, Jack. Behind her, the stars slowly began to shine again. Earth was free, but freedom always has a price. The sky was quiet now. For the first time in years, no shadows moved where they didn't belong. No flickering eyes behind glass. No whispers inside machines. Just wind, sunlight, and silence. The war was over, even if most of the world never knew. It happened. Across the earth, small signs of truth began to appear. A news anchor, who had once never blinked, suddenly vanished. A tech billionaire stopped appearing on camera, and no one asked why. Satellites that had once watched everything suddenly went dark. People began to feel different, like a weight had lifted. Like something had left, but no one could name it. They couldn't remember Jack Miller, but they remembered what he gave them. Peace. Far away, in a secret resistance base buried under ice, Elira stood alone in front of a screen. Her suit was torn, her eyes tired. But she was alive, and she wasn't alone. In her hands, she held a small silver disc, the one Jack gave her before he stepped into the core. She slid it into the console. A hologram appeared. Jack's face, recorded just hours before he died. He looked straight ahead. If you're watching this, I'm gone. That's okay. I didn't come here to live forever. I came here to make sure someone else could. He smiled softly. Tell the truth, Elira. Don't let this be a secret war. Let them know what we faced. Let them know what they survived. The screen faded. Elira wiped her eyes. Then she walked to the center of the base and pressed send. Around the world, people began receiving a strange signal. No sound. Just images. The Zalari, the invasion, the warning, and one man standing in front of a glowing blue core. Jack Miller. The man who no one believed, until he saved them all. A year later, Windale was different. The observatory had been rebuilt. Kids played in its yard. Stars were being studied again, not for war, but for wonder. In the center of town, a small statue stood in silence. A man in a guard's uniform, holding a flare. Gun. No name. Just 4 words carved into stone. He believed. He fought, but far, far away in deep space. A ship moved through darkness, alone, silent. Inside, Elira walked slowly down its hallway. Her hair had grown longer. Her eyes were dimmer now, but in her hands she held something, a cube, inside it. A spark. Blue, glowing, alive Jack's core, somehow. A piece of him survived, and she wasn't going to waste it. The war is over, but humanity, it's just getting started.